we had taken an idea about microsporogenesis and megasporogenesis, which gave rise to the male gamete and the female gamete respectively. Now, the gametes which are formed as a result of these two processes, please remember they are non-motile. You remember that the male gametophyte was pollen grain, while the female gametophyte was the embryo sac. If you don't have idea or it confuses you, don't get baffled by it. We are going to deal about these things, their structures, their diagrammatic representations are going to be considered. So we are going to understand what it is. But for now, for understanding the term, simply understanding the term, you know that these two terms that I have written, they are nothing but that region of the sporophyte or the plant body which has undergone meiosis, or as a result of meiosis inside the sporophyte, the region of the plant that is being formed. If it gives rise to male gametes, it would be male gametophyte. If it gives rise to the female gamete, it would be the female gametophyte. So both these terms over here are the gametophytes. Now what happens is that as a result of the two processes of sporogenesis, the gametes which are being formed, they are non-motile, both of them. Draw parallel with the gametes which are formed in human beings. You know the structure of sperm. Sperm has a flagella, and it is the sperm which moves from the uterus to the fallopian tubes and brings about fertilization. So we can say that one of the gametes is motile, but in this case both the gametes, they are non-motile. That means how they are going to reach to each other to bring about the process of fertilization. The fusion has to take place, fertilization has to take place to give the resultant zygote, but because there is no motility that is being provided to each of the gametes, there has to be an agency which is going to be responsible for bringing about the fertilization. Now, that process which brings about the fertilization, which is responsible for bringing both of these together, is known as pollination. Now, pay attention to the term. Pollination has the word pollen inside it. That means pollination would be the movement of entire male gametophyte, otherwise known as pollen grain, to the female gametophyte, which is present inside the ovule. Megaspore. Okay, the female gametophyte is present inside the ovule. It is in no case going to be motile. It has a lot of tantrum, as we see in the entire biological world. The female gametophyte has a tantrum, the male has to travel to the female, and in this case also, though not on itself, by some agency, the pollen grain, by the process of pollination, comes to the ovule. Now you remember that ovule is situated inside the carpel's region known as ovary. Over here we find ovules. Inside the ovules we find the embryo sacs. So the pollen grain has to come and stick over the stigma of carpel. Then by chemotaxy, that is chemical agency, it has to enter the ovule and bring about fertilization. So this process where the pollens from the androecium come and reach ovule of the carpel through stigma by some agency is known as pollination. Now the next thing that you have to keep in mind while we deal with pollination is that there are different types of pollinations. We are going to see those terms, and for a better understanding we are going to see the pictorial slide representation, so that stays in our mind and we remember it in a good way. It doesn't go off our mind. The first one is autogamy. Auto means self, gamos means marriage. First is pollination, where the male gametophyte and female gametophyte are within the same flower, and the male gamete would move to the female gametophyte again within the same flower. Second one is geitonogamy. Now geiton means neighbor and gamy means, again in Latin terms, it means marriage. And the third one is xenogamy. Now how the pollination takes place, where it takes place, if it is within the same flower of course it would be on the same plant, that is known as autogamy. In autogamy we come across two terms, one is cleistogamous flowers and other one is chasmogamous. We'll see what they are, but why I have written the terms without telling what they are, just for the reason that when we discuss about it, these are not the new terms. In one case the flowers would be closed, in one case the flowers would be open. So these are the two terms, just remember the name, cleistogamous and chasmogamous. In autogamous flowers, the pollination where the male gamete, or we are not going to use the term male gamete when we talk about pollination, we would use the term pollen. When the pollen from the same flower reaches the stigma within that flower, that is known as autogamy. Now supposedly on the same plant there are two different flowers and the pollen reaches the stigma of another flower on the same plant, that is known as geitonogamy. While over here we had same flower, same plant, we have same plant but a different flower. That means pollen from a different flower to the stigma of different flower on the same plant. That would be known as geitonogamy. And xenogamy is totally different plant, different flowers. So when we have two plants, of course the flowers would be different, and this is the most preferred one because as we said that the purpose of sexual reproduction is to bring about variation. You can see in the case of autogamy, you can get an idea that over here within the same parent the reproduction is taking place. So it is not going to bring that much genetic variability as xenogamy is going to result. So we have an idea about pollination, we are going to see the different examples, we are going to see how it happens, what are the characteristics of a flower if these three types of pollinations have to occur. So we have a general idea about the two terms, or you say the two processes which are involved in the process of fertilization. So we have the two steps in the pre-fertilization events. First would be the formation of gametes, that would be micro and megasporogenesis. Once the gametes have been formed, there would be process of fertilization, and whatever results as a result of pollination, the resultant thing that we'll have in our hand, that would undergo the post-fertilization changes. So we are going to see in detail about these things in the next lessons.